I'm going to tell you a story that every single creative person, every artist, every small business owner needs to hear. It's a story about what happens when you pour your heart and soul into a design, you find a niche, you create a trend, and then you watch someone else, a big company, a faceless corporation, steal it right out from under you. They don't just they make it their own. But this isn't a story about a victim. This is a story about how I didn't just fight back. I took the entire trend, put a legal fence around it, and then licensed it back to the very people who tried to steal it from me. To understand this, you have to go back to my beginning. It was late 2024. I was a full-time artist, living and breathing my Etsy shop. My designs were fine. I was making a living, but I wasn't thriving. I was doing a lot of things that everyone else was doing. You know the drill, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And I felt like I was just another digital creator in a sea of millions. I knew I needed to find a niche. Something unique, something that spoke to me personally. I'd always been obsessed with vintage botanical illustrations and minimalist typography. So I started playing around with a new concept, combining these old-world floral designs with modern, simple words. I was drawing a lot of wildflowers, a lot of delicate vines, and pairing them with phrases like homebody or bookworm. I remember the first design I posted in this style. It was a single, elegant daisy with the word nourish underneath it. I posted it, added some tags, and honestly, I didn't think much of it. It was just an experiment. A new direction. And then, something happened. That design, that one little experiment, blew up. Not just in terms of sales on Etsy, but in a way that's hard to describe. I was getting messages from people all over the world, saying, "This is exactly what I was looking for." Within a month, the Nourish design was my best seller. Then I created another one, a sprig of lavender with the word calm. Same thing. Instant bestseller. I started a whole collection, and within 3 months, what had been a side project was now my entire business. I was riding this incredible wave. My social media was blowing up. People were sharing my designs, tagging me, and even writing articles about this new minimalist botanical trend. My brand was becoming synonymous with it. I was in a state of pure creative joy and entrepreneurial bliss. I had found my voice, and people were responding to it. But as any successful creator knows, with success comes a shadow. I started to notice other shops. First, it was just 1 or 2. I'd see a design that looked a lot like mine. Then it was a dozen. Soon, my feed was filled with them, designs that were almost identical. Same floral elements. Same minimalist font. They were using my idea, my concept, and making a killing from it. And this wasn't just a few people. The trend I had started was now a full-blown sensation on Etsy, and I was getting lost in the noise. I was the originator, but I was just one of many now. I tried to tell myself it was just part of the game. That imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. But then something happened that changed everything. A friend messaged me a link. It was a blog post from a massive, multi-million-dollar online retailer. The kind of place that has a dozen marketing people and an entire legal team. And on their front page was a new collection. It was called Simple Blooms. Every single design was a direct lift from my collection. Same style, same font, even the same specific flower pairings. My stomach dropped. This wasn't some random creator. This was a corporation. They had seen a trend on a platform like Etsy, they'd seen that people were buying it, and they had a team of designers just replicate it. They didn't even try to hide it. I sent them an email. I told them I was the originator of the style and that their collection was a direct infringement. I didn't get a response. Not even an automated one. So I got an email from a lawyer friend of mine. I told her what happened. She said, "Look, this is what happens when you don't protect your work. They stole your idea, not your specific design." I was confused. She explained it like this: I had a copyright on my specific designs, the image of that one particular flower, with that one particular font, in that one particular arrangement. But I didn't own the idea of a vintage botanical with a minimalist word. That was a trend. And anyone could copy a trend. That's when it hit me. They hadn't stolen my designs. They'd stolen my entire trend. They were taking the essence of what I created and mass-producing it. My entire brand, my entire livelihood, was at risk. The next few weeks were a blur. I was devastated, but then that devastation turned into anger, and that anger turned into a cold, hard resolve. I wasn't just an artist anymore. I was a business owner, and I had to start thinking like one. I went back to my lawyer friend. I asked her a simple question: can you trademark a concept? A trend? She laughed. Not usually, she said. But you can trademark a brand, a logo, a specific phrase, or a name that is associated with that concept. That was the key. I had to trademark the trend itself, but through a different lens. I had to create a brand name for the trend that was so unique, so associated with the designs, that I could legally own it. I started brainstorming. I needed a name that captured the spirit of the designs without being overly descriptive. A name that was both floral and minimalist. Something that felt like an identity, not just a product. I came up with a list. Wildflower words. The Flora Foundry. Botanic type. But one name stood out. It was a name that wasn't just a description of my product, but of a feeling, a philosophy. I'm not going to tell you the name just yet. But when I tell you what it was, it will all click into place. I went to my lawyer and said, I want to trademark this name. For a line of digital products, prints, and apparel. She walked me through the process. It was long, it was expensive, and it was a massive gamble. I was pouring money I didn't really have into something that might not work. But I had to try. And this is where the story gets really interesting. While the trademark application was pending, I had to be patient. I was still selling my products, still watching the copycats. But I had a secret weapon now. I was waiting. One day, an email landed in my inbox. The subject line, trademark application status, approved. I had done it. I officially owned the brand name. The trend I started was now legally mine. Now, it was time to play offense. I went back to my lawyer. I had a list of all the shops that had been copying my work. Not the big corporations yet, just the smaller Etsy shops. My lawyer sent out a flurry of cease and desist letters. The letters were polite but firm. They said, you are using a brand name and style that infringes upon a registered trademark. You must remove all infringing listings and cease using this trademarked style. The reactions were mixed. Some shops complied immediately. They were small creators like me, and they didn't want the legal trouble. Others were angry. They said, you can't trademark a trend. This is unfair. I understood their frustration, but they didn't understand the nuance of what I had done. I hadn't trademarked vintage botanicals. I had trademarked a specific brand name associated with it. A brand name I had created. But then, the biggest copycat of all, that massive online retailer, came to my attention. They were still using the designs, still selling millions of dollars worth of products with my concept. And they were about to get a very different kind of letter. This part is the most surprising, because I didn't want to go to court. A lawsuit would be expensive, time-consuming, and a huge risk. My lawyer told me, you have a strong case, but you have to be ready to fight. But I had a different idea. I didn't just want to shut them down. I wanted them to pay for what they had done, and I wanted to profit from it. I asked my lawyer to draft a licensing agreement. I said, don't send a cease and desist letter. Send them a proposal. Tell them they are infringing on our trademark, but we're not asking them to stop. We are offering them a chance to license the brand name and the entire design collection from us. My lawyer thought I was crazy. They're a massive corporation. They'll never agree to that. They'll just ignore you. But I knew something they didn't. This trend was already a massive success for them. They had a huge investment in it. They didn't want to lose all that money. So, the letter went out. It was a masterpiece of legal strategy. It wasn't a threat. It was an offer. It said, your brand has seen tremendous success with the trademarked name collection. Our trademark gives us legal ownership of that brand name and the associated design style. Instead of a costly lawsuit, we are offering you a 1-year, exclusive license to sell this collection, in exchange for a licensing fee and a small percentage of your sales. And then, we waited. A week later, my lawyer called. She said, "You are not going to believe this." The corporation had agreed. They had calculated that the cost of a lawsuit and the loss of revenue from their best-selling collection was far greater than the cost of licensing it from me. I had done it. They had stolen my designs, but I hadn't just gotten them back. I had monetized the very act of their theft. This wasn't just a business win for me. It was a massive philosophical shift. I learned some powerful lessons about the difference between a creative and a business owner. The first lesson was that being the originator of a trend isn't enough. I had to be a legal guardian of it. I had to learn to protect my intellectual property in a way that goes beyond just a simple copyright. The second lesson was that trends are not a sprint, they are a marathon. I had thought my trend was dying when I saw everyone copying it. But what I had done was create an entire market. A market that I could now control. And the third, and most important lesson, was that the people who copied me weren't necessarily my enemies. They were just doing what they knew how to do. I had to stop seeing them as threats and start seeing them as potential partners. This whole experience transformed my business. The licensing fees gave me a huge influx of cash, which I used to hire a team, expand my product line, and invest in a completely new trend. And the original designs? They're still on my Etsy shop, and they're still selling, but now they are part of a much bigger brand and a much bigger story. Okay, so I know you've been waiting. The brand name I trademarked was Flora and Font. It was simple, it was elegant, and it perfectly described the style without being too generic. It was a brand name, and now it was legally mine. So what does this mean for you? If you're a creator, an artist, a small business owner, I want you to learn from my story. We are artists. This story isn't just about me getting my designs back. It's about a creator who went from feeling defeated to feeling empowered. It's about understanding that your creativity is not just a hobby, it's a valuable asset that needs to be protected, nurtured, and monetized. If you've ever felt like your work was stolen, or if you're a new creator and you want to protect your ideas, leave a comment down below and share your story. And if you want to learn more about how I grew my Etsy shop from a small creator to a six-figure business, check out the video I've linked here. And if you want to see the original Flora and Font designs that started it all, I've put a link to my shop in the description. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.